I mean, from our perspective, quality of media is really fundamental for all of our clients. So we've always had a keen interest in ensuring that we provide the best quality media to our clients through the platform. And you're right, there's a lot going on right now around viewability. And we see this as really good news in the market. There's a lot of players out there who've traditionally monitored quality in the display space. They're starting to move into the video space and offer video solutions, which is great. And in addition to that, we've also developed our own tools and products that we use across all the media that runs through the platform, which is really exciting. Well, we work together with all the industry bodies, so we have we fundamentally believe that in order to have a proper solution, you need to have a standardized solution. So we're very much working together with the leading bodies. We've recently been MRC accredited in terms of our viewability products. So again, we're fully in line with what the industry standards are. And in terms of our own solution, we've developed a solution that is capable of monitoring viewability as well as tracking for any sort of suspicious or fraudulent activity. So I think the problem, you can't really categorize it as one stat. I think it depends on the different media types that you're looking at. So what we've seen and what we've heard from others in the market is that anything that's coming from a premium sort of broadcast type of inventory, fraudulent activity, the incidence of fraudulent activity is much lower, but it still can happen. In terms of the kind of the longer tail, obviously there you're going to have a lot more chances for suspect behavior, and you have a higher incidence of that there. So, is it, how widespread is it? I think it's not in VOD anyways. It's not at the rates that we might have seen in display in early days, but it's certainly something that we all need to be monitoring and using these tools against to make sure that we keep it in check.
Leanna, finally, give us your perspective on the growth of programmatic. You see a lot of markets, you see a lot of different kinds of players on the buy and the sell side. We're very interested in what's happening outside of the United States. So give us some thoughts.
So I think this year is going to be very interesting. The second half of 2014, we're going to see, I think, a lot of new players jumping in, and 2015, in my mind, is going to be we're going to see the significant growth there. I mean, for the first time, we've seen really both sides of the equation starting to become very interested, so demand as well as supply. And you really need the two together. And just in terms of supply, you're seeing a lot of the premium publishers now understand the opportunity and the benefit of moving into programmatic, and they're starting to test the waters. So I think the rest of this year, 2014, will be about testing and understanding who the partners are that they can work with, how the technology works, getting all that right, and then getting ready to roll it out in 2015. So I think it'll be pretty exciting.
And finally, there's this whole discussion of private. We've been speaking to the folks at Xaxis and others about going private versus the open exchange, and where is that going to shake out, and what's sort of the upside and the downside, and how do you see all that?
I definitely see it'll be a mix, and it's really depending on what I think the buying community is looking for. So from our perspective, we work with predominantly TV planner buyers, and you need a different type of quality of media there, and your KPIs are very different. So you're not necessarily price optimizing, but you're trying to optimize against reach and audience, and you're also trying to optimize against flighted delivery, that sort of thing. So from those perspectives, the type of media and how you manage it will be quite different. In that case, you'd be looking for a portion of your media which is fixed or kind of a private marketplace environment. So that definitely will stay, and it will continue to grow, in my opinion. And then of course you top that off with the more kind of flexible, bidded, live, real-time decisioning media as well. So I think in all of it, it's just a mix of using both, and then the proportion of the mix is really dependent on what that campaign's kind of KPIs are, what the advertiser's KPIs are. So what we're seeing in terms of a lot of activity in terms of a more mature market, I mean, certainly the US and UK. France is really interesting in terms they've adopted programmatic, jumped in both feet first in there, which is great. Australia is another market where we're seeing a lot of activity just starting to ramp up, which is really exciting. I think sort of the next round of countries that are getting in and that are in earlier stages, but we will see significant growth, are countries like Spain. I think Italy is just starting to get into it, Of course, in Europe, you've got Germany, which is a great market in terms of advertising. And I think now, I mean, again, the second half of this year should be very interesting as some of the supply side players start to understand what programmatic means. So I think that'll be an exciting market. And then in APAC, outside of Australia, we've seen a lot of activity in in Japan. That's again being driven on the supply side, which is interesting. And then we've got Southeast Asia, which is pretty heavily into the kind of the bidded kind of real-time environments. So it's very dependent, I think, on the market structure of all these different countries and in the approach that they adopt towards programmatic. But I think everybody's going there in their own way.